Let's get to it. So in my last video, I was talking about Canelo, where it seems like he was planting a seed to get ready to duck Terence Crawford. And it seems like he's planting that same, he ain't fought nobody's seed like he did with Demetrius Andrade and David Benavidez.
You won the belt with nobody.
Now, I'm not going to really talk about that in this video, but I did want to address the fact that everybody who's talking about that's not possible, nah, Canelo wouldn't do nothing like that. Well, you probably felt the same way about Manny Pacquiao, right? Well, guess what? Manny Pacquiao ducked him too. Check this clip out.
Crawford had been mentioned before around Manny Pacquiao, but I really think that Manny has no interest in that fight. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Did he mention as to why there was no interest in fighting Terence?
He thinks that Terence, with his skill set at this stage of Manny Pacquiao's career, would be too much for him.
So he's honest about that. He realizes that.
Yeah, sure, he's honest about it. He's a senator.
You see, Terence Crawford is one of those guys, and people understand his style, and they know it's a hard fight to fight. It's a risky fight to fight. So a lot of them duck him. And that's why his resume don't look as good as most of these other fighters. But that's another story. We're here to talk about Errol Spence supposedly parting ways with Derrick James.
My goal was to get some money.
Listen, I'm going to tell you like this. At this point, it's still just rumors. No, don't nobody really know for sure. Errol Spence hasn't come out and said anything. Derrick James hasn't come out and said anything. These originally were sources claimed to be close to Errol Spence, who said that he's parting ways.
It's all cap. He just talk.
Now, I heard somebody else say, well, if it's a rumor, it's definitely being discussed or talked about. Well, I'm going to tell you like this. If it's being discussed or talked about, what I think is that Errol Spence probably not parting ways with him. He's probably just telling him, listen, for this upcoming task, which is the rematch with Terence Crawford, for this upcoming task, I want to get somebody else to train me. Don't necessarily mean that you're fired, but for this upcoming task, I want to get somebody else to train me. Now, I don't know about this whole Roy Jones Jr. thing. That seems, that's kind of a stretch. You know, if you guys know the game and you already know, you know what I'm saying, him and Roy Jones ain't really, you know what I'm saying, the best of friends right now. But, yeah, so that's kind of a stretch. I mean, Kevin Ford seems more realistic.
Go look up the history.
Yeah, but they said that Kevin Ford and Roy Jones would be top candidates for training him for the rematch. Now, once again, like I said, it doesn't mean that he fired his trainer and coach, Derrick James. It doesn't mean that. He simply could have just hired somebody else to train him for this upcoming task, because there is some more things that he needs to work on. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're fighting a fighter like Terence Crawford, you're going to have more than just a come forward type style.
There's a sweet science to boxing, the reason why you have not been able to knock out.
We know that he has to come forward, put pressure type style. He's flat-footed. He ain't got that much defense. They say he do actually. He just don't use it. Well, with Terence Crawford, he gonna have to use it.
There's a sweet science to boxing.
He gonna have to use their head movement. They say he got head movement. He gonna have to show it. He gonna have to show that he can do that. Because guess what? They saying the rematch gonna be at 154. And trying to fight Terence Crawford, it's gonna be even worse at 154.
Man, sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere.
He gonna need to try to, you know, exercise everything that he know in that ring against Terence Crawford. Because they say he already got defensive skills. Okay, well, it's better than him trying to learn new offensive skills. Because after the first round, that's probably gonna go out the window when Terence Crawford started hitting him. So, like I said, Errol Spence Jr. hasn't come out and said anything. Derrick James hasn't come out and said anything. So as of right now, take that with a grain of salt that he has parted ways with Derrick James. Remember that whoever trains him, it really doesn't matter. Like I say, Terence Crawford is a generational fighter. I've said this before. He's one of those generational fighters who hasn't gotten his credit.
Absolutely not.
And when you're facing someone like Terence Crawford, when you're facing a generational fighter, there's a good chance that this guy is just way better than you. He's gonna outclass you again, and he just got your number.
Man, sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere.